Hi, I'm Ed Burns. Let's learn about how to deliver AI-infused app innovation with Open Liberty on AKS. First, a quick bit about me. The point of this slide is to demonstrate that I've been around a while, and I know a lot of expert programmers that I've met over the years, including some of the founders of Java itself, and I've worked on Java myself a long time, and that's going to be important when it comes to talking about getting used to working with AI. Here's my plan for your time investment. I know that you got a very busy day, and I'm really excited that you chose to spend this little bit of time with me. First, a little bit about don't panic. Then I'll show you the major parts of the demo, how to deploy it, possible areas for further exploration, and then summary, wrap up. So if you're new to AI, my message to you is don't panic. There's some fairly obvious observations I'd like to share with you here, and I've talked to lots of experts that have seen trends come and go, from web dev to various kinds of client device types that have come and gone, like Palm Pilot, for example. Anyhow, new innovations, there's always market forces that have been in play, and the vendors that are pushing those new innovations want adoption. So they'll make it easy to adopt. And this is also true with AI. So if you're worried about how do I catch this AI wave, how do I learn how to use it, the good news is there's a huge financial and adoption incentive that all of the AI vendors want to do to make it easy for you to learn it and get started and be productive with it. And that's true with AI, and that's certainly true with the way we're doing it at Microsoft. So this is James Gosling. I talked to him and a number of other expert Java programmers in this book that I wrote a while ago. And I asked him, what did you do to make Java be easy to adopt? And the idea there was to package the new idea in terms of the old idea. So James here is saying, if I wanted bankers to use automatic garbage collection, which was not in popular use in line of business applications at the time, I needed to give them curly braces rather than lots of irritating, silly parentheses. And he's talking about the language format of Java itself, how it kind of looks like C, and that's intentional. The idea is to package the new idea so that people that are using whatever else is currently out there can just pick it up, and that's very much true. So in terms of Java, the language level idioms that you'll see with AI, and you'll see in this demo also, is the builder pattern, the use of Java streams, the use of completable future to do asynchronous programming, functions, passing functions around. These are things that have been in Java for ages, and they're just using them. My bottom line takeaway for AI in Java is it's just another API. For the most part, most developers are not going to be, hardcore inventing and training new models. What they're going to be doing is hooking up line of business apps to deal with AI models that have already been trained and built by people that are more specified and specific. So that's the story there. Let's talk about the major parts of the demo. The first is the IBM Liberty on AKS offer. My work at Microsoft is an extension of what I've been doing really since 2002 or so, working with Java EE and Jakarta EE, and that has always been a cross-vendor ecosystem. So Microsoft, being a cloud vendor, wants to make sure that you have a good home for your Java, regardless of where you're running, what runtime stack you're running. So this is focusing on Open Liberty, but we also have offers for Oracle WebLogic Server and JBoss EAP, and I have a link to learn more about that at the very end. For each of these vendors, we have ways to quickly get started and run your stuff on a number of different compute targets inside of Azure. Here we're talking about Azure Kubernetes service. So this thing, if you deploy it, it'll set up an AKS cluster for you, deploy a container registry, install the Liberty Kubernetes operator, and install your app too if you want, which I'll show in the demo. Then we have Open Liberty itself. This is an amazing, lightweight, modular, microservices-ready runtime stack. It does implement the two big Java specifications, Jakarta EE and Microprofile, that provide a lot of great features, which I'll talk about here. You can learn more by following these links, but the particular demo, which was written by Gilbert Kwan and Grace Jansen from IBM, that I'm going to be showing, is using dependency injection from the CDI specification, microprofile config, and microprofile metrics. So here's how to deploy it. The first is, I built the demo, that is. I followed their steps, and then I sort of sprinkled in a little bit of procedural containerization from the Liberty on AKS Quick Start link there. And I've put the result in this GitHub repo. It's a fork of their upstream branch, upstream repository. So what you deploy it, it's really kind of 7 steps, right? Maven clean install, Docker build, Docker push, and then start the offer, deploy it, and point to that container registry that we've pushed the app to, and supply the Docker tag, and then we look at the outputs. So let's go ahead and do the demo. So let me switch over to the browser. And so here we are in the Azure portal. So the way you would do it is type Liberty, and the thing that would come up is WebSphere Liberty Open Liberty on Kubernetes. I'll click on that, and then I'll click Create. And so I'll pick a new resource group here. And there's a bunch of tabs, so I'm going to fill in these there. Yes, we want to create a new AKS cluster. No, we want to use an existing Azure Container Registry where I have pre-pushed the image there. So I'll pick that resource group with the Container Registry. Yes, I want a load balancer. So this will stand up Azure Application Gateway in front of the whole thing, which is really easy and handy. I'll say next. This is where you decide if you want the WebSphere Liberty operator, which is fully IBM supported, or the Open Liberty operator, which is open source and you're on your own support-wise. For this demo, I use the Open Liberty operator, but if you're in production, of course, use the commercially supported one. Deploy an application, yes. So here I will provide a Docker tag. So I'll just, I'm going to type a value. I've done it before, but I'll just do my registry here. ACR.io, Azure CR.io / Jakarta EE microprofile :v2, right? And then click next. It's going to do a pre-validation step, and then you would select create. And about 15 minutes later, you'd get this screen here. Your deployment is complete. Now, for all of our templates that I mentioned later with the link in the slides, there are this output section. And if you go here, you can see a number of useful features. So here's the one I'm going to show next, how to get to the app. But before I go, I also want to show you, it shows where the container registry name is. Here's how to log into the Azure Container Registry. Here's how to connect to the Kubernetes cluster so you can do kubectl commands. In fact, here's how to get the app instance. So there's a lot of useful data inside this section here. Even, output the deployment YAML. It's giving you a base 64 string that you can just paste. And I'll do that at the command line here. So it's that's the app YAML of the app that it deployed for you. And you can make changes to this and then just do kubectl apply if you want to make more changes. So it's a real easy way to get started. Now I'll go back to the top, copy this app URL, and open a new browser tab and paste it. And so, all right, I mentioned AI. I'll explain what the demo does, but it's basically a chat thing. So I'll just say, what is microprofile? Question mark. Send that. And here it's giving me an answer. And I'll also ask, what is Jakarta EE? Okay. Now, a quick word about Jakarta EE. Microsoft is a sponsor of and member of the Jakarta EE and microprofile communities, and I'm very honored that I am in the role of being the co-release coordinator for our upcoming Jakarta EE 11 release. So this will be out at the end of CY25, if I have anything to do with it, and I do. And so be on the lookout for that. So it's not just something that Microsoft is paying money. We're actually deeply involved in my own personal time in developing this and releasing it. Now, I also want to show, I mentioned microprofile metrics. So if we just go ahead and say metrics, and I clearly have done this before, we're going to use a query param scope equals application. And this is showing values for what we've set up for the chat processing time and how long it takes to do the application. So all these are different metrics that are really transparently applied for you with very little effort simply by using the microprofile config specification. So I will make another query and then we'll get back to the demo here. What is microprofile metrics? And then I'll reload that page. An API for collecting and exposing metrics. Blah, that's great. So let's reload this. And yeah, you can see the time metrics have updated there. Let's take a look at the code. So here we have basically two things. It's a simple app with a CDI application scoped managed bean. And this is where we use microprofile config and CDI together to let you pass in values. So in the case of running it locally, these would be defined either as environment variables or config properties. In the case of Docker, they're just coming in as environment variables. And the microprofile config specification has a cascading property lookup system where first it checks system properties, then it checks these local properties, then it checks environment variables, and it keeps looking down that cascade with priority list until it finds one that fits. And this is a really great way, and it's time honored. The systems have been doing this for ages. So that's how we inject property values. So here, because this is an application scope managed bean, that means it runs once. There's one instance of it for the whole application. Now, this is a simple demo. It doesn't really focus on, thread safety or anything like that. So you'd want to maybe put some more request scoped beans in there. Those are created once per request, as the name implies. So here we're using LangChain4j. LangChain4j is a system that provides an abstraction on top of many different models. This one actually uses two models, Azure OpenAI chat model and Hugging Face chat model. The reason I did that is I observed that the Hugging Face model sometimes would run out of tokens, at least the free tier that I'm using. So I implemented a thing where I check if it's not online, then I fall back to using the OpenAI chat model. And these messages, you wouldn't see them in the console. They would appear in the logs for the app. But you can see in both cases, the APIs are quite similar. That's because they both implement a base interface for model builder. And then we return the assistant, and then I'll go over to chat service. This is a simple WebSocket thing, so it's using the Jakarta WebSocket specification. That's another one that I didn't mention in the slides. And so on message, we will, get the session ID, which is just a WebSocket API, and we'll say chat, passing the message that we got on the input. That is what the code looks like. And let's now go back to the slides. And so you can see on close and on error, these are other standard methods in the WebSocket specification. Where you can go next. So ideas for further exploration. This demo just shows kind of a one-off thing. In production, of course, you're going to want to implement GitOps. So you can automate deployments with GitHub Actions. That's a very easy thing to do. We have examples for that. And you can pass environment variables from CI rather than baking them into the container image. I wanted to show that actually what I'm doing here. This image I pushed to my private Azure container registry So if we look at how I'm creating the Docker file, source main resources, no, where's Docker? I'm going to go out to my command line because I've got it right there. Docker file. There it is. Source main Docker. For some reason, I'm not seeing it this way, but I'll just cat it. I'll make it bigger. So we're passing in the environment variables there. You can see using env commands, and this is just a very simple one. Notice that it's using the Maven Resources plugin. So in this particular demo, the environment variables are passed to the system that's running Maven, and these are then hard-coded into the Docker file, which is used to produce the image. So you could do that and pass them in from CI instead. And you can see the base from image is just the standard IBM Liberty 230012. You could also explore other models. I've showed you that in the chat agent. And the final one is exploring the LangChain4j Tools API. This is a really great demo series from my pal and fellow Java champion and also fellow null pointer Ken Cousin. He has a really great YouTube channel, so please check it out. This one shows the LangChain4j Tools API. The reason I call this out, and this is one definitely worth checking out, is it lets you basically specify callbacks so that when the AI model does things, it can call your line of business code back in the midst of its AI manipulations of the inputs. So that's better than just doing a simple chat response. It's kind of letting you plug yourself into the introspection and logic of the AI process itself. In summary, we showed you how to easily add AI to a Jakarta EE Liberty app, easily how to containerize it, easily deploy it, and do more with Java on Azure. And this is where you can go to see the other plenty of demos, plenty of how-to guides for all of the other Java EE things, and also just overall Java on Azure. So thank you for your time, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your time here on the program.